Welcome one and all, Alan Robson with you. Welcome to the Ghost Historian and an episode tonight that we're calling Graves of the Pagan. Now, it's very hard for you to understand that here up beside the Scottish border where some of the major battles of history between England and Scotland took place, that there is a site like this. I don't know whether you can make out the words of this immense block of stone. Maelmin Henge is what this is. Maelmin Heritage Trail they call it, and it's quite a basic one. And because it's so basic, a lot of people will not fully comprehend that on this site, kind of like Stonehenge, this was a place of ceremony 10,000 years ago. Now, before all of the religion came about that divided everybody and made one side fight against another because their invisible God was different to the Romans' invisible God, and throughout the centuries other religions came in, like the Norse gods, that didn't like them either, didn't like some of the Irish versions of Christianity, so they fought the other Christian, Catholicism against Protestantism, against Methodism, against religion completely changed the landscape. So what they've done here is carry out a reconstruction of a site from 10,000 years ago. I've had one quick walk around and I'm tingling. This place is alive, absolutely alive, with some of the most amazing history anywhere. Now the Celts, you know, we talk about the Celts a lot. The Celts didn't arrive to this part of the world until 800 BC. Now that's approximately 2,800 years ago, the Celts. Before that, you had the ancients. There's an amazing book I would suggest you read if you've got time to read a book that's like this thick, called Britain BC. And it tells you about the glory of the people that lived here, that were not warlike, that got on with each other. And then religion came, and from that moment on, the whole place went up. But on the northern border, telling the stories of the people who lived and died on this land. And you're just off one of the main roads, a cursed road over there, from modern times, a cursed airfield. I'm staring at it now. And yet, a heritage trail from 10,000 years ago. Now, the religious biblical period that we don't know anything of, other than stories written 400 years after it all happened in the Bible, we knew nothing about it. So imagine how less we know about what happened 10,000 years. 5 times the amount of time has gone by since biblical times. Amazing. The north, particularly this area up into Scotland, remained a pagan land long after the northeast coast had transformed into Christianity. It had been pushed, forced, beaten and killed into believing. Maelmin, this glorious rock, Maelmin means decayed edge. It means decayed bank, because a river just at the bottom of this hill called the River Till had a decayed bank. But when the Christians came here and they realized that there was a sacred site, that it had been here 10,000 years, they wanted to try and claim it. So Bede and his followers called this place a royal residence for the Christians, a royal residence, just so they could say, no, that's one of our sites. Come in and have a look. This is mind-blowing, mind-blowing. Because you've got to remember, we're talking the beginnings of England here. We weren't English until foreigners came here from the 400s. The people who actually settled this land here were Angles. Now the Angles came from Germany, and the people who now go about to England for the English, they're talking about the Anglish. They're talking about the Germans who came here and chased the locals off the land, and I'm already hearing voices. Now, I mentioned that there's a curse. There's an airfield here that is steeped in absolute glory. If it wasn't for this airfield, hidden away at the top of Northumberland, there's a very strong chance we wouldn't have won World War II, because the pilots from all over the world came here to train. But because these pilots had to train super quick, lots of accidents happened. Hundreds, thousands of pilots from here died fighting in World War II. But if it wasn't for this titchy little training airfield, Britain would not have been successful in World War II. So, as you can see, when you look at the various posters, we'll get into the stories of it all a little bit later on. A training station for fighters, Spitfires, Hurricanes and naval aircraft, bomber crews. There were hangars here to maintain planes. During the day, 1,650 staff. At night time, 3,300 staff, because they knew if they were all lit up during the day, the Germans would come and try and knock this place out. And here, stories of daring do. The women at RAF Milfield. The posters that they've printed out are a bit rank, but you can see actually the shape of the airfield on that decal at the back. And a house on this land used to belong to Josephine Butler, the leader of a national campaign on behalf of prostitutes, abused and trafficked women, and she lived here in 1906. But and again, just look at some of the brave souls that were here from all over the world. Germans bombed the airfield in September 1941. One crater, just one bomb, made a crater 72 feet wide, 10 feet deep. And here are the men and women that served, and to those that lost their lives. And look at, I'm sorry, but you know when you see a war memorial in our towns and villages, and absolute respect, this is a training airfield. And if you look at the dates when all of these people passed, Canadian Air Force, Volunteer Reserves, all of these people lost their lives, and many of them crashing in the skies, firing themselves into the ground. But the stories of war, the stories of battles, and one of the North's most famous witches, all associated here. The woodland at the far side, a witch wood. We're at Maelmin, and I couldn't be happier. So, in the year 400, Angle mercenaries, killing machines, men who were paid to fight for different causes, they came here. And when the Angles came here, as I say, in the year 400, the Angles saw this place and they thought, well, there's nobody here, we could live here happily. I'm going to send somebody back to Germany, where the Angles came from. Remember, England for the English. They got no idea about their own country. We're mongrels, we're from all over the place. But the Angles came here with their king, King Ida, who took the whole country. About 150 years later, he just said, let's go and do battle. Let's go through, Tony, and see what we can see. I've already left some of my gear through the cubby hole. King Ida landed at Bamborough in 547. Now, our country, Britain, back then was called Brynaich. And Brynaich fell to the army of Angles. The Germans took us and renamed this whole area Bernicia. And once King Ida had a base at the fortress of Bamborough, The Angles spread across the country. In 593, Ida's grandson, Ethelfrith, became king and came back here, using this as his centrepiece. And he set off to wipe out all resistance. He defeated the Brits, the Celts, the Picts, the Irish, and in 604 he took York to create the kingdom of Northumbria. We got more from Ethelfrith pretty soon. We've got an ancient rebuilt house of the sort that they used to have back in the day, and we have this wooden recreation of a place of ceremony. Now there is a house with a very loud woman just over there. I mean, really stunningly close to this amazing place. So you may hear her. If you hear me mention other voices, I'm not even going to refer to this woman because I don't know what she's put her family through. She's just quite loud. And she's entitled to be in her own home. Happy days. Now I've put a lot of my glumpet down here, and in the centre of the Great Circle. Now, going back, we know for certain 4,000 years ago, all of these, where there are trees placed, or where there is, and you can see them there on both sides, everywhere there's a post used to have a standing stone. We know for sure it was there 4,000 years ago. It's generally believed that there were things like this here, standing stones, 10,000 years ago. And we're now walking down the main processional area. And here, right in the middle, in the shape of a pentagram, some candles that we light later on when it gets a little bit darker. And we've set up some of these.
I've got some new ones in my pocket. I need
Which
to get rid of those
because
ones.
these aren't even, they've all, I put them on to work and they've all popped out.
Yeah, they need to go, them ones, they're too old. You can swap them over.
We can do that. But I set them all up and they're all popped out. Isn't that weird? Can't explain that. You got some?
Yes, we don't want to mix them up.
All right,
So
now you
throw
understand.
them ones in the bin.
Right, so we bin these.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Gone.
Then
right. Champion. So these are freshies. Got some fresh ones. Let's see what we get. Lovely. So they're on at the moment. Will they come on of their own volition? We've got Suki here as well. Now, this is just, to someone like me, it's just that you stand in the middle of something like this, and not just because it's old, not just because it's pagan and heathen and all of that. You can feel electricity here. And the thing that I like probably more than anything is nature then comes and look at this. It just creates its own decoration. Massive cobwebs here. And you're inside a circle that has energy attached to it. Now, the area around the side that you probably have noticed, this massive trench. When they did excavations here, they found the north and south henges, because there's two. They found pagan graves here. The graves of early Anglian mercenaries, those paid killers, the war machine in human form. And they found the graves here, and they took ornaments, brooches, buckles, knives, and they found the dead bodies here. of men and women and at least one child from around 400 AD. Now, these trenches here, a lot of people think, well, what were they for? Was that where they dug the bodies out? The people that lived here and the people that came here to worship, and if ever there was going to be a town meeting, or if ever they wanted to anoint a new leader of a village and people wanted to have their say to try and get chosen for the big role, or they wanted to get married, or they had a baby, and there was no such thing as christening back then, but they would usually get water from the local river and bathe the baby in the water, because all human life, even then, the ancients believed, came from the water, as we all really did. And this henge has so many cool things attached to it. For example, it's positioned in exactly pointing in 55 degrees north, so that because of that, it's telling you when sunrise is going to be, it can tell you when sundown is going to be, and it'll also tell you precisely when equinoxes and solstices are going to be. So everything that you would need from the equivalent of a watch. And then, as if that's not enough, and we're going to go around, and I've got stories that are far more complex and frankly quite blood-soaked, but I also have to show you our other pearl in the crown, which is up here. Now, if you look into this, and I know some of it's fenced off, and I was a tad disappointed, but we can get close to it.
There's a path trail there.
Oh, well, that's great.
That might be if it's in there, because there's a.
Oh yeah, there's signs you can get into it. Wonderful. Now, the thing that it doesn't mention on any of the signs here is that this is a wood that back in the day, we're talking 1650, there used to be a coven of witches that were based in Maelmin Woods. Now, all that's left of Maelmin, you can look around, it's mainly farmland, and you can see a windsock from where gliders can take off in the distance. If you have projected this onto your big telly, you'll be able to see a plane in the distance with a windsock and yet people don't mention Maelmin Woods and the supposed coven. And one, in fact, two of the witches that were hanged on Newcastle's town moor have a history with this wood that's directly behind me here. So we're going to take... Oh, did you hear that? Did you hear that?
I heard a bird here behind me.
I heard a bird, but before I heard the bird, what frightened the bird was a massive thump that came from in there.
So go in there then.
Yeah. Let's do it. Now, we've left a few bits and pieces here, but yeah, let's do that. Now, for those people who think that there's perhaps nothing hugely of interest in a place like this, to reveal the full story of two of the witches who died on Newcastle's town moor by hanging. That whole story came from here. Let's get in the woods. Let's go around and I'm just going to leave my stuff, and I'm sure it'll be fine. I better grab a torch just to be on the safe side for once you get in there. Now, last week, one of our number asked for more witch-related tales. So this really couldn't come at a better time. Now, the ancients of 10,000 years ago, very, very different. Oh, I've got, I was talking about getting ticks last week. I've got little green mites all over me short at the moment. But look at this place, and it's ours, and there's nobody here. Result. Now, Tony's shown you the vista and how flat this place is, and how Maelmin Woods, is it just this little bit? What you don't realise is that Maelmin Woods began here, and it's about 6 to 8 miles to a place called Chatton. And if you keep going another mile, you get to the Purdy Lodge on the A1, for those of you that do a bit of travelling around. And we've got to climb over a stile, Tony, so let's know that we are putting it. Let's get our leg over. And the fact that you can come here at any time, and even if you're just looking for birds and beasts, this is absolutely a place to be. Now, if you can imagine a forest that covered 6 to 8 miles, we're talking something the size of Kielder. Tony, if you want to just go down before me. So the woods that travelled from here all the way over to Chatton. These woods were the family home of a woman called Jane Martin. Now, Jane married a miller who lived in Chatton. It's also said to be where her ghost is often seen. A Scottish witch finder came down from Scotland here to Northumberland, seeking out witches. 20 shillings a witch. That's about 120 quid in today's money. Now, some witch finders, if they found a woman attractive and wanted to have sex with them, would say, if you have sex with me, I won't call you a witch and you'll survive. And many did precisely that. But in Jane's case, this Scottish witch finder said, look, I'm going to arrest either you or your sister. I don't know which one it's going to be. Do you want to confess? She didn't want to confess. Instead, she said, because she'd had an argument with Jane that morning, she said, oh, my sister Jane was a witch. I actually saw her consort, that's have sex, with the devil. I saw her have sex with Satan in the woods at Maelmin. Here, these woods, sex with the devil. Whoa, hot stuff, firm, forky tail. Now, the thing that backed that up was that, of course, there were already stories about a coven meeting in Maelmin Woods. A coven. So there were witches there. And this young girl's now admitted that her sister's a witch. One of the witches of Maelmin Woods. So on the 21st of August in 1650, on Newcastle Town Moor, 16 people, 15 men and 1 woman, were hanged. Margaret White, Jane's sister, was promised freedom, but she'd admitted to seeing the devil. She was obviously there. She was obviously a witch herself. So they arrested her too. She'd admitted seeing the devil. She had to be hanged. The witch finder, already rich, got himself a hefty pay packet. Yet later, he would hang for heresy and for the murder of innocent people. And here we are, in a wood that was probably very like this, you know, back in the Bronze Age. Very like this. And now it's been sacrificed and given to nature. handed back. Now it's said
Loads of
that
stones.
when Jane Martin was hanging on the gibbet at Newcastle Town Moor, her family said that Jane would probably go back to Maelmin. Now, at the time, the witch finders were all ears because they thought maybe their parents were witches too. And if you think about that, why would they want to go back to Maelmin? Look at this. Look at this. What's underneath here?
Looks like an old building.
Like an old building's come down.
Yeah.
And it's been used for something. So how far back into history does this go? Who lived here? Who died here? Who's beneath here? And if this was a place of witchcraft, whether it's perceived witchcraft or whether they did gather together in large groups of women, wise women, talking about how they're going to run their village, I can understand that. But when our mother said, oh, Jane, she's bound to go back in spirit to Maelmin. Well, for a number of years after that, people saw her here in this wood. People saw her moving around through the trees of Maelmin Wood. Now, even back then, the wood swept right the way across the countryside. Now all we're left is a bit that I choose to call Jane's bit. And it's Jane's bit. This is fascinating. Look at the stones underneath the tree, the huge stones under trees. Now in places not very far from here, if you head south, you get to Chillingham Castle, where they've got a lot of witch mounds, where witches that were placed on trees and pinned there, pinned because if you kill a witch, you're supposed to get 10 times her pain in return. So they would nail them or tie them to trees and let the creatures of nature kill them, feed on them, the insects. Just heard, did you hear that, Tony?
Yeah. Don't know what that was. Something falling from a tree, it felt like.
I didn't see anything, but it sounded behind that big bush that's out there.
Yeah. It sounded like a thump from a tree.
Nothing moving here, mate. But I heard a clunk, definitely.
It's calm.
Tony, I'm out here in the field. I'm going to go back for Sucky. I'll meet you at the hut.
Right.
You do some talking.
I'll see if I can go around this way. We've just gone for Sucky. So I'm going to try and get to this hut, which is it's through the trees there. I'm not sure if I can though. I'll try and get around this way. There's a big fence there. Well, a fence, I wouldn't say it was that big. It's quite eerie in here on your own. Right. Heroic deeds and barbaric tales. What the hell was that? that was either a big hare or a deer. Hopefully not a person or a spirit. That went fast. I think I must have scared something. Definitely seen a figure. It was either a big hare, a deer, or a spirit. I don't think I'll stick around to find out which one it was. We'll go back though when it's dark. Here it is. What we're looking for. Hopefully we can get inside this. Dark age house. So it's a reconstruction, but it was definitely here. It's what it would have looked like back in the day. Is it going to be open? That is the question. Oh God. I think I'll wait for Alan to come. It looks like the door is going to fall off. So I'll wait till backup comes. Doesn't look like it's on any hinges, but I don't want to break it. Can I peek through this hole? God. Looks like there's a door on the other side as well. Oh, no. I swear I saw a door through that hole. I'm hoping we'll get in there without the door falling off, but Alan is on the way. Here he is. You can see the henge in the distance, looks amazing.
Can you get in, Tony?
Well, I think so, but the door looks like it's like hanging off.
All right.
So I can't do it with one hand.
That's not what I'd heard. All right.
It doesn't look like there's any hinges on it.
Back in the gutter again. Sorry about that, everybody.
See, it doesn't look like it's got any hinges on it.
All right.
I didn't want to kick it and then kick it in.
No, of course not. So, reconstructed. I just didn't want to leave the gear because Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
Even though we're in the relative safety of, due to recent events, CCTV has been installed to prevent further damage. That's good.
That's the thing, it's... Oh. Oh God, that's a squeaky door, isn't it? Well, I was nearly kicked it in, so it was the wrong way anyway, so...
And here we are, just a reconstruction. But you see the thatch on the ceiling? This would probably have been the home, so it says, of a farmer and his immediate family. And you got to remember, this is Northumberland. The wind, the rain, the snow, the hail.
Well, it would have been on this site as well, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. And this wouldn't be the only one, there'd be many. Now this is a replica, but it's on the ground where people lived. And you know, we talk about Jane Martin and the woods that's just here. How fantastic that they've got something. I must say that if in a perfect world you'd have artifacts and people dressed the way that they... Well, that was strange. Or there might be something underneath it. You can see through the hole here that that could be a rat or something living.
Well, I think I just either seen a rat, a hare, a deer, or a spirit. Because like, it was like I saw it at the corner of my eye, like darting that way when I was in.
How big?
Probably child size.
Child size. That's great.
But it was running away. So, what about the necromancer? Since we're in somewhere nice and dark.
Now, in recent weeks and months, we've had inexplicable results, and we know that. I mean, I was always skeptical of the necromancer, and then all of a sudden we started to get voices that people recognised, places, addresses, how they died. So we've maintained it, and it's still working pretty damn well. Hang on, I've got the amp.
It's not everyone's cup of tea, but you've got to try everything.
But bear with it, because it's just another way of reaching out. Oh. Now, the way these things work is they put an awful lot of words into a place, and people believe that spirit can intercede and pick out some words that they feed us. And I always say disregard 95%, especially when it comes to the necromancer. But when you get a man's name, his family, his daughter, his grandchild, his house number, the job that he did, and that's what we've had from this. So we're not giving it up anytime soon. Are we? Nah. Is there anyone here? Give me a name. Huge spiders and slug stains across the wall. Don't forget, if you pick any words out that we miss, let us know. We got one last week where somebody recognised the voice of a member of their family that had died. Richard. They called it. Do you remember?
I think that said Owen.
No, I mean,
you
sent me a
Yes,
thing.
I sent you that one.
Owen, I've got Owen. Is your name Owen? Just me. Just me. I just kicked that. Because we've come in here, Tony, and you know I got ticks last week, picking up long streams of gossamer that are waving on my hand. Does anybody know Jane Martin? Jane? Did Jane come back here? See how quiet it went? Jane, did she come back here? Did you hear that? Somebody's just touched the door. Did you hear it? It went. Do that again. Do that again. Do that again.
Yeah, I thought I just saw a shadow outside the door.
Outside the door.
God, I thought I just saw someone walk past the door. You know the crack in the door? I thought I just saw someone walk past. Is anyone out there? Strange. Definitely saw a black shadow thing. So you know when someone walked past the door, you see the silhouette. I definitely saw that.
Now, weirdly, when I was on the track heading back to the circle, to the henge, I said, I've just seen somebody's legs
God.
across the far side. Now, I'm looking, I'm wide open, and for anybody that's ever wanting to come in and seek, it was a point I made during one of our little chat sessions that people who don't believe in ghosts will put people like us who believe in them down until they see them themselves, and I understand that. But non-believers also just want to try and humiliate and make our beliefs not important. And a lot of the people that do that believe in invisible men in the sky that can see every single thing that you do 24/7 and will send you to hell for believing in this kind of stuff. And they've killed people over the centuries for exactly that reason. And that's where that negativity comes from. So let it wash off you like water, literally off a duck's back. But I heard the door, and just after that, Tony saw a figure move past. Now, hopefully that'll be on camera, because you were pointing in that way, weren't you?
Yeah, just like a black something blocked it, so as if someone walked past it. Very strange.
The bloody hell. There's somebody here, Tony. There has to be. There has to be. I just held my head close to the door and I just saw something move to the right-hand side. I couldn't see it was a figure. I just saw something black just quickly move.
Yeah, the black.
That was... In a time without WD-40, that would drive you mad. What the hell? What the hell? I could hear sheep in the distance, but I was sure I heard voices. Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Yeah, well, that was
like
a knock, yeah.
Knock again. But just before that, I heard this. You know that?
Yeah, someone's walking.
That's why I'm standing still. You can see the amazing thatch job they've done here. The whole place is held together by spiders' webs as far as I could see. Oh, no, we got a bit edgy there. We got a bit edgy. Come on. Let us know that if you're about. Come on. Done.
I think you just dropped something. I don't know what it was. Something just flew. I just saw like, I don't know.
What
Oh,
was
that came from somewhere.
What?
You know that?
What is it?
I don't know. I've just seen it fly from somewhere. The roof or
It's like a bit of bone.
yeah, a bone. God,
Bone.
just caught my eye because it moved.
Don't know what that is. Bit of bone. You know that, Tony? There's shadows in the woods. There's shadows in the woods. Now, a few of our stories involve the airfield, but I think we'll make our way back through the woods.
Yeah, well, that's where I saw the figure.
Let's.
It's getting dark, and I was going to take some pictures.
No, absolutely. We're going to be doing that now more than ever before. So, just got to carry a little bit of stuff with me. Incredible.
There's a cow in the airfield.
Airfield, I know. And there's cows. Tony's not going to be happy with cows. Right, get in the woods down here. While we're looking, Tony, the cows are coming home.
Uh-huh.
We were talking about the airfield. Sergeant James Spangler, first to die here in World War II, crashing his Hurricane whilst being trained. Another Hurricane from here was forced to belly land in a field in Stocksfield, Newcastle, December 1941. And then Sergeant Norman Pow crashed his fighter here, next to where the hut is. Did you hear that?
I heard, yeah. It was like
Massive
wood.
banging from the hut.
Is that where it was from?
Yep. Banging from the hut. Norman Pow crashed his fighter just here, just in these fields. He was burned alive in that field. His mate said that after his death they regularly saw him walking around their planes near where the woods are. That's where we are. Sergeant Dole crashed, showing off doing aerobatics. He was lucky to survive. Snapped all of his fingers backwards. Beautiful.
Hurry.
J. Metham crashed into a hill near here. And you can see the hill, it's just over yonder where all the bracken is. The planes, once pilots trained, were off to the Battle of Britain. In 1943, two Hurricanes collided in mid-air. Two Hurricanes, killing Sergeant Davis and Flying Officer Thompson. Two more Hurricanes did the same thing, same place, just here in the sky towards where the airfield is over yonder. Two more Hurricanes, 1943, killing a New Zealander, Charles Humphrey. Over 2,000 pilots trained here would die fighting to defend Britain. Dozens of others burned, lost arms, legs, were blinded. We paid a huge, huge price for our freedom. Spitfires, US planes, Lightnings, Mustangs, Thunderbolts, all trainee pilots came here from India, Czechoslovakia, Canada, Holland, Poland, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. Towards the end of the war, some of the instructors chose to head out too. Some of them died. More accidents here as they were desperately trying to...
Yeah, that noise.
Sorry?
Yeah, that noise. Like...
some birds here I'm getting. What was
I
it?
don't know, it's like,
Did you hear that?
is it like water or like a spray, I don't know. It's like a monster eating something, I don't know. The cows are there, but it's like a spray sound.
After you, Tony, do you want to lead us?
Time to split the stream. It's probably the good time.
Already? That's ridiculous. We haven't told you any of the stories yet, hardly. But we're going to spend a bit of time in the darkness, in the woods, and back at that ceremonial henge. I hope you'll come with us on the other side. Tony, how do they do it if they would like to join and become one of our supporters? We'd love you to.
Just hit join if you're on YouTube under the video, or if not, there's a link in the video description. What was that?
There's something behind you.
We've got an audience now. But that noise is like water.
Water?
I was like, you know when you flush the toilet and it's like a cistern?
Yeah?
It sounds like that.
Weird.
Can't be a cow.
So how do they do it anyway if they want to
There's
join?
a link in the video description. Just hit that and become a subscriber on Facebook or YouTube, and part 2s will show up for you.
So come and join us every week. We can have an adventure together, learning all kinds of stuff here on the Ghost Historian. Tony, you need to be up ahead really. I'm loaded up with Glumpet.